Well, it definitely seems like there is really fun banter through all of you guys, the moments where you're all on screen together. What was it like shooting that, if you guys want to just go down the line, even for you guys finally seeing them all together in the suits?
Well, you know, we've made a number of these films with the individuals, or maybe two of them, but to have them all together was epic.
I think that's a good word for it.
Also, too, you spend so much time preparing for these movies and working on what the costumes are and the casting. So the first day that everyone was together on set in costume, you know, it's inexplicable. I mean, I had chills. It was really great.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a big kid, and I kind of geeked out. I just walking around Ben and kind of pulling on his cape, and it's just surreal that I'm even here playing this guy and around these guys. And when you see, yeah, you'll see us all up there, and you'll feel the same way. So,
as only Aquaman would say, he's like, yeah, you know, I was just acting like a kid pulling on Batman's cape, because I'm like, it's Batman. Oh my god.
And I was like, who the fuck keeps pulling on my cape?
I think that the word surreal for me is it. I remember coming to set and seeing everyone in their costumes, and I was just observing everything, and then I just started to laugh to myself, and I was like, it was surreal and crazy.
Yeah, it's, you know, in these movies that have a lot of effects and green screen, you know, you have to use your imagination a lot, and it was really great to be around all these great actors, dressed the way they're dressed, looking so cool and inspiring. It felt considerably less ridiculous, you know.
On the day, everyone's like, "Oh, I'm so hot in the suit. Oh gosh." Just kidding. No. It's joyous, amazing experience. It's like, yeah, I'm a big comic fan too. So it's like when everyone got together, it was like really like looking at a frame from even some of the early Justice League comics, because we have so many of the original characters. Everyone except for Cyborg, just because he hadn't been invented yet.
That's okay. Change is good. Change is good.
Was in the original Justice League. Even Superman, who we hope is in this one too.
He's dead.
So no. Henry's just quiet. He's just quietly sitting down there.
Yeah, it was amazing. It's been amazing. Right?
For me, you know, I'd watch a lot of the footage over Zach's shoulder as he's watching the dailies, and I'm geeking out looking at everybody. You know, I see everyone in their costumes, and there's this one shot where we're all together, and it's panning. Everything is great. And then we get to me, I'm like, oh, wait, we're going to get me in post. Okay, I see. Yeah, it's just an amazing and super surreal experience.
On the days that I went to visit set, because I'm not in the movie,
he's not in this,
I actually was lucky enough to see all these guys all lined up in costume. And for me and Deborah and Chuck, I mean, it's been longer for them, but for me it's been 6 years since I started on this journey. And during Man of Steel, I never imagined that I'd be sitting up here with these other superheroes. And they are superheroes in the movie, and they are superheroes in life. And I consider it a real honor to be sitting here at the end of this line. So thank you, guys. Thank you
all right, kiss your face. You're amazing. You hear that? That was so sweet.
I got asked you guys have all kind of said down the line you're big fans. So who's the first person to be like, everybody getting a selfie?
That wasn't me.
I have a guess. I feel like
they frowned on selfies. The security was very high. You had to leave your cell phone outside, and it was not like cool to take selfies.
You get tackled. You try to take a selfie.
You get sneaky selfies in the Batcave. You're like, look at this, it's the best.
And Batman's the only one with pockets anyway.
Yeah. It's true. You could hide it in there in his utility belt. No one would ever see it.
I did steal stuff from the Batcave, though. I'm going to come out and tell you guys that right now. So did Jason. We both
I'm a natural-born thief, so yeah.
Little things.
I feel like now that you're coming clean, what did you take?
I got like a
little like these little bullets with the little red cap on top of them.
Bat bullets.
And yeah, because I give it to my son.
Mark Hughes from Superhero News. My question is for Ray. Your character is the only one who perceives his powers as sort of a curse instead of a blessing, really. Can you talk about how you approached Victor's changing perception of himself through the film and how that kind of reflects the team dynamic overall, moving from a lot of conflict and uncertainty toward embracing kind of this heroic destiny?
Well, I think in a lot of ways, Cyborg is super reluctant to join the team because of the trauma that he's had due to his accident and the fact that he can't live a normal life the way that these other members can. He can't take off his costume and just walk the streets and assume a different identity. He's both Victor Stone and Cyborg 24/7. So balancing that duality within oneself was a very interesting process. But we had a lot of lead up time to talk about the character, and Zack and Chris, Zack put Chris Terrio and I together, and we started talking about concepts from the very beginning, like the ideas of everything and where they planned on going with it. And I had a lot of lead up time into it as well. I had about a 3-year process from start to finish with this film, which was absolutely necessary because the character is super deep. He's super deep, and I think him being able to put the negative notions aside about himself and about his powers is sort of what this is all about, and being able to become a part of a team the way he once was when he was an American football player. So I hope it resonates with the fans.
I'm Brandon, comicbook.com. My question is just with having worked with both Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon, I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about what the set was like, some of the differences, and how they kind of maintained the atmosphere on set and all that kind of stuff, and how they operated with you guys.
Well, I got to address that. I mean, the movie is, Zack's DNA. Cast the movie, designed the movie. There's something that people, I think, don't understand who don't actually work on movies, which is how much of the work is done in prep. How much, the casting, the sets get built, the story is written, the ship is, in essence, sailing. I found as a director, you could maybe change 10%, 15% or something kind of on the day. So you really had Zack's, ship set sail for us, and we were fortunate that when Zack was not able to continue, we got really lucky in that we got a guy who's very accomplished in his own right, and particularly in this genre, and he kind of sprinkled some of his fairy dust on our movie and finished it. And I don't think there's any way to go back to me and I look through the scenes and go, that's a Joss scene, that's a Zack scene. It was more, they were both working together toward a common goal. Debbie would know better than I would, certainly, but I got the sense that Joss was working from what he had discussed with Zack before he stepped in.
And for you guys up here, obviously, they've all kind of said how long of a process it was, and then having 2 directors working on the film. Can you talk about that a little bit? Just making sure that the vision that you guys had from the beginning, that you wanted as fans and for us as fans to see, finally came together.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think for us, this whole thing is so bittersweet because we have been working on this franchise for the past, almost 8 years when we started developing the script for Man of Steel. And then we moved on to BVS, and also Zack developed the story for Wonder Woman, which was leading up to the point of Justice League, where these characters were finally going to come together. I mean, this was a really great hero's journey, and a journey for these characters to be the characters that they are today. So not being able to complete his vision was extremely difficult. So that makes it hard. But we were lucky that we had Joss already working on script pages. And, our feeling is that we're hoping that people don't think about how the movie was made when they went to see it, because these characters are bigger than any director. They're bigger than any of us. And we love and adore these characters, and we love and adore all these people here, so...
How about for you, Chuck?
Well, I can't really say it any better than Debbie or Ben. Of course, it's been just a great privilege and fun to work with Zack and Debbie on, and all of the actors in the various films, starting with Henry with Man of Steel, and then Ben with Batman versus Superman and Henry, and then Gal and Wonder Woman, and then the whole team together right now. It's been, a actually in a wonderful way, you know, a great learning experience and life experience. And, you know, it was sad not to have Zack there, but as, you know, we've been saying, to have Joss come in, and he had already been working with Zack, and now we're just really happy with the movie and really happy with the dynamics of what we're doing and how great these characters, you know, infused by this talent, have made these characters, and we're really happy to be sharing it with everybody.
My name is Eric Eisenberg from Cinema Blend. My question is for Mr. Momoa. From the world of comic book movies, you've kind of been working in reverse, going from the team-up movie to the solo film. I'm just curious about the process of working this character from that direction, and also how the work on Justice League wound up impacting the work on the solo film.
Well, I think that was one of the... I mean, it all kind of came from Zack's mind. I mean, Aquaman wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. When I stepped into his room and he told me his vision. I want people to know that, you know, in a year, you're going to understand where he came from, what happened to his mother, what happened to his father, and how he was treated in this world, and how he didn't know how to use his powers. And sometimes he saved people, and sometimes he lost people. And, you know, his human side didn't know how to cope with those things, and he would cover up those things. And so he's, you know, he's hiding behind there's a lot of layers of this guy. And I think once we do get to the solo film, you get to see the man who's going to take responsibility and help the world and become king eventually. So this one, I don't really think that he is Aquaman. He's Arthur Curry, but he's not. He hasn't done the trident yet, and it's coming. But just stick with it. And
he's Simba right now.
For the people who are like, that's not my Aquaman, just like, just wait a little bit longer.
Jenna Bush from Coming Soon. I'm curious what sort of team building work you guys did. Did you train together, or was there anything else you guys did together?
Parcheesi. No, I mean, I think a lot of it is the time we got to spend between takes. I see some familiar faces who were with us for set visits here today. And, I mean, what you saw is what you got. I mean, being around these guys, the different energy and the different comedic sensibilities with respect to that, I think it did build the team in a pretty organic way.
I think that going back to Zack, he did magnificent work casting, like plunking and knowing exactly which one is going to make the best of its character and how the whole will work together. And it's been super easy. It's been very natural. I mean, no hours at the psychologist, you know, sofa talking about each other. No, it's been super fun and very easy.
I just also want to add, you know, as a producer, sometimes you go, gee, how are we going to get these guys to work together? How are we going to get them to bond? Well, we didn't have to do anything, you know. If you went into the gym, sometimes many of them were there, sometimes they weren't. If there was take one, between take one and take two, or take three and take four, you'd look around, they were together. And, you know, it was the most easy coming together of a group, on any group experience on a movie that I've ever seen.
The other thing, too, is we spent a lot of time on set. It was the first time I've ever stayed on set. Normally, I got massive ADD, and I can't sit still, and I got to go do something. So I'd always run back to my trailer, but we were just, we lived in our tents. And we
have a band.
Yes.
He did the drums, Ezra did the drums. We did some singing, Ben did the Bruce voice. It's been super awesome, I'm telling you.
Jingle
There's a Twitter.
bell time. It's a swell time.
Hey guys, Aaron Sagers with the Sci-Fi Network. This is a cornball question, but I think a relevant one. The movie, the movie starts off with sort of this message of hope and Superman's logo, and then it carries on with this call to action to get involved in a divided world. So, just for each of you, why do you think that kind of resonates in 2017? Why do you think that that is an important message for this movie to have? Gal, why don't you start?
Okay. Okay, I have something. So in the real world, we don't fight monsters. We don't have aliens attacks, right? It's us creating the problem. And I think that it would have been wonderful if somehow us, human, could get together and come together and just be and do good to each other and try to make the world a better place. So I'm giving you a cheesy answer right back at you. But I mean it from the bottom of my heart.
One of the reasons that we make these films is because they're, and these characters have lasted for so long, is because they're inspirational and aspirational characters. So if these varied metahumans, those who have superpowers and want them, those who have powers and don't want them, those that they come from different places in life and haven't figured out all their issues, if they can come together, then hopefully that'll resonate to the world and see maybe they can come together.
Well, and I think that's the thing, at least for me, that has always been so awesome with comic books, is you can approach things that may be a little bit hard to talk about or a little bit difficult to talk about as a group and talk about them in the comics, and then you get these superheroes who are portraying that. And honestly, it's one of those things where you see it on the screen and you're like, if it makes you do anything, even a little bit more that makes you feel like a superhero, then they did their job. So
yeah, and it's inspiring to see people with so much power who could go in a different direction and go toward the negative side. It's great, and it's important for us to see people with power doing good, and hopefully that'll inspire other people who have power to continue that.
Rob Keyes here from ScreenRant.com. This question's for Ben. Bruce has gone through a lot getting to this point and has kind of overcome and changed his perspective and succeeded in assembling these godlike beings for the greater good. But now Bruce is in a world where he sort of relies on godlike beings, maybe to fight godlike beings. How does he cope with that going forward?
Well, you raise an interesting point, which is that Batman, who is by nature not necessarily antisocial, but pretty private, a loner. And in this movie, he's thrust into the role of having to not only work with people, but bring them together and convince them to come in there and try to be, some kind of a gel with Wonder Woman to hold all that, community effort together. And that was a really interesting, thing to play for me. And it also does take us to a more traditional version of Batman in the Justice League comics and his role with the Justice League versus the sort of less typical version we saw with Batman and Superman, where he was blinded by rage and wanted to take on Superman. So it was a lot of fun for me. I also got to have a kind of a dry wit. I got to play off Ezra, which was a lot of fun. He's so funny, and Batman is like, Bruce is always on the verge of exasperation. And it was fun to get to show some other colors for sure.
Watching the team dynamic as characters is one of my favorite things about this movie, because superheroes are all just reflections of the human psyche, human personality traits, just personified and made grander. So everyone who's watching this movie will have something they can associate with when it comes to watching each one of these performances. And everyone watching this movie is going to identify with the differences between characters and the similarities between characters as well. I think these guys really, really nailed it when it came to their interaction or their lack of interaction. And ultimately, all having their eyes on the same goal, but just having no idea how to get there, which I think a lot of viewers will be experiencing in life anyway. And these guys smashed it, knocked it out the park.
And Henry looks great in dream sequences and as a corpse.
True statement. Fact.
Really good.
And if Superman had that porn mustache in the last movie, I think he would have won a lot quicker.
Just one last question for all of you guys. What do you hope that the fans walk away feeling when they go and see the Justice League? If you want to just go down the line quick.
I want them to want to see Justice League too.
I want them to enjoy this historical moment. They've waited a long time.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, amazing story. I want them to go back and watch it with more people.
I am what they said. I hope that I'll enjoy the movie and find it entertaining, and I hope they'll like to watch Justice League 2, so we have more to explore.
Yeah, I also hope that people just have fun and enjoy the ride and get as much enjoyment out of the camaraderie of the group as we did, in performing it.
Yeah, just that exhilaration when you see a film and you really like it, and then you're excited and you can't sleep, and you just like think about it a lot. I hope some people have that. Yeah, if they can feel even an iota of the excitement that we felt making this film, then it will have been a success, I think.
I sincerely hope that people walk away from it and they can feel what it was like for us to be a part of something so much larger than any one of us. I hope that people walk away with a sense of fulfillment from, for me personally, this is like my childhood dream, being able to watch it. Like, being in it is great, don't get me wrong, but like, I hope they feel that same sort of sense that I felt when I was a kid watching Michael Keaton, and all the other animated series and movies. I hope they feel that.
For me, I hope people walk away from it just, first of all, having enjoyed it and had fun, but more importantly, to have been inspired and to walk away with a sense of hope.